Hello everyone. In this video we are going to take up a new question as our coding exercise. The question is that given a string we have to check whether that string is palindrome or not. Okay. And what is a palindrome? A palindrome is a string which can be read in a similar manner from left or right, which means that it is symmetric, which means that whether for example you see oyo, then from left also it is oyo, from right also if you read it is oyo. So any such string which is symmetric, that is called a palindrome. Okay. Now but in our case there are some more nuances to it. So what you have to do is that apart from this you have to also ignore any case sensitivity, which means that whether it is capital O, left one is capital O, right one is small o, that should not matter. Okay. So right now if you run this, then let's say you get that yeah, it is a it is a valid palindrome. Right now let's see, you write, if you write something like ola, then it is not a palindrome, so it will be false. But I am saying that if capital OYO, then also it is giving us true, which means that it is you have to implement the solution where you should ignore the case sensitivity. Not only that, if somewhere a comma or exclamation mark is there, everything is also neglected, which means that this comma, exclamation mark, everything you have to neglect. After that, remaining characters should will be just normal characters. And normal characters, let's give you one more restriction, which means that it will be just alphabets, not even numbers. So let's say only alphabets will be there, right, from A to Z, or capital A to Z or small a to Z, and only those things you have to see that whether it is a palindrome or not. Okay. So yeah, so this is, and you have to ignore the any characters which are other than alphabets. So yeah, so in this case you can see that this is also giving us true. So now you can, and let's say it can be multi word also. So let's give you example of that. So for example, let's consider this string. So you can see that never odd or even. Obviously all the spaces again you have to ignore. This dot again you have to ignore. After doing that, and again this n is capital or a small, you have to ignore. But after that, if you read from right, then again it is never odd or even from right also. You can see the never odd, you can see, or even. So you can see that from this side and from this side, actually the alphabets itself are alphabets, by alphabets I mean that A to Z and capital A to Z. So by that logic, it should be still a palindrome, and that's why our function should return true, and that's what it does. So you have to implement this solution. This solution will start implementing from scratch in the solution file. Right now you can just pause this video and implement it for yourself, and then we will discuss this solution. Okay, so now if you have implemented the solution, now we are going to discuss the solution in detail in this video. So let's start with some simpler simpler string. So let's say oyo and exclamation mark or something like that, right? And obviously right now there is nothing in the solution, so it will just return undefined. So what we are going to do is that let's just print this str just to prove that it is coming, this oyo is coming there, and you can see that yeah, oyo is coming and it is not returning anything, that's why it is undefined. Now let's implement the solution. So what we have to do, firstly we know that it has to be case insensitive, right? So what we are going to do is that we are going to have a firstly we'll convert this string into a character array. So character array is equal to, and then this str, firstly what I will do is that first I will convert it to lowercase. Okay, so once it is lowercase, then I know that this is a small OYO, right? And then I will split it based on empty string. So if you split a string by with empty string, then what will you get? You will get, let's print that CARR. This is character array. You will get all the characters. So you are getting OYO exclamation mark, and as you can see that this capital O is converted to small o. That is fine. Now what we have to do? We have to remove. All the characters which are other than alphabets. Now, even if it is capital A to capital Z, that will be because of this two lowercase. That capital A to capital Z will be converted to small a to small z, which means that finally we just have small a to small z, and anything other than small a to small z we have to remove. So for that we can use filter. Basically this is an array, and from that, let's say exclamation mark, this I have to remove, right? So how do? We do filter. This is an array, we have to do filter, and we have to write logic such that what we include, for that it should return true, what we don't want to include, for that it should return false. Okay, what we want that our C should be greater than or equal to A, and our C should be less than or equal to Z. So if our C, whatever is the character of the string, if that thing lies between A and Z, small a and small z, because we have already done two lowercase, then everything is fine. Everything else you remove. That's what this does, right? Which means that now if I print, then this exclamation mark is removed. That is fine. So I have got character array. Next thing I have to do is that I have to compare two things. Simply, so let's say let's take a variable a. In that variable, what I am going to do is that I am going to take this character array and I am going to join it, simply join it, which means that I am not seeing in reverse order or something. Just I simply joined it. Then what will I get? What will I get? I will get O comma YO, right? But I don't want that comma, and that's why I pass empty string. If I pass empty string, then this is going to be OYO. So this is like this whatever this CARR was there, when I joined that from left to right, then I am getting OYO. What if I reverse this? I reverse this and then join. Then if I get the same string, which means that it is a palindrome. As simple as that, right? Now what you can do is that you can see that, let's say instead of A I have another B, and before joining you reverse the character array. So you take the character array, you reverse it and then join it, right? And now if you print B, right, and then if you again get same string OYO, right, which means that it is palindrome, right? And if something like, let's say Ola will be there, then what will happen? You can clearly see that in this case this will be OLA, but the reverse will be ALO, and they are not matching, which means that if I simply return A is equal to B, if A and B, the first thing and the second thing, if A and B, the reverse join and the normal join, if both are same, which means that it is a palindrome, right? So if A is equal to B, then it is true, otherwise it is false. So this is how it works. So it is saying that Ola is not a palindrome, but if I write OYO, then it is a palindrome. So it is returning true, right? And again I have written a bunch of other test cases. So for example, never odd or even we saw earlier, right? This is a also a palindrome, right? So let's test for that. So we'll see that it returns true, and if let's say you did change something, then it is no more a palindrome and it is returning false. And this URL has a lot of other test cases. I will add this link in the description of the YouTube video. So for now, let's copy this whole thing and paste it and run our solution for the whole test case, and we see that done, which means that all no assert warnings are there, which means that everything is passing, and it is the test cases are written appropriately. So for example, Oyo should return true, Ola should return false, or whatever. This is not a palindrome, so this should return false. This is a palindrome, so it should return true. In that sense, if all the things are satisfied, then you should only get done, which means that your solution is correct. Okay, so that will be all for this video. In the next video, we are going to take a different problem.